Good morning, traders. We're a little bit late starting this morning. A couple tech issues, but I think it's resolved now. It is 7:52 a.m. here in Chicago. Happy Friday. Happy expiration, options expiration Friday today. It is the 17th of October, 2025. This is episode number 2703. I want to remind you that derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So let's just, I'm going to race through. But the first thing I want to do, I haven't done in a couple of years, a tradition I want to bring back is could you take a moment in the chat, just type in, where are you from? Put in your city and country. If you want, you can put in your Twitter handle or Instagram or whatever in case somebody nearby wants to get in contact. And maybe you guys can make a decent accountability partner set and connect. Love it when traders connect. So, but there's no obligation to do this, of course. Just punch in your city, state, country, whatever. Let's get into the business of trading. So, what do we have today? Again, monthly expirations today, monthly options expirations. Thank you for those who are punching in their city and country, city, state, and country, whatever is relevant. We have a mild risk on tilt here. We've got the DAX coming off quite a bit, 1.5%, bringing down the index complex, the risk complex there. Note that the relative range, relative volume is quite high in the indices. A lot of activity overnight. There was some news and comments about China from Trump this morning. A lot of stuff coming into the weekend relating to China. I think the U.S. government is trying to pressure China into a deal. The deadline for the 100% tariff, which would be really devastating to pretty much everyone, is 100% on November 1st. But this morning he came out and said that it doesn't have to happen and that he wants to meet with President Xi. So we'll see. Just a negotiation tactic, I guess. I wish it wasn't negotiating with my money. But that's where we are. So we have quite a bit of volatility. You can see the RN and RVol numbers are in the 200+% range. So there's quite a bit of movement. Another thing to note is that crude oil rolled to December today. We're trading CLZ5 now. CLZ5, no longer CLX5. Remember, crude rolls 3 days before its expiration. On the third day before expiration, that's today. And the premium adjustment for the prior contracts, November and going backwards, is negative 47 cents. Negative 47 cents to adjust the premium. So if your charts have a 47-cent gap, that gap never existed. It's just the roll into the futures, just the nature of futures. As far as key earnings, we're looking at Amex this morning. Nothing after the close. There are some other State Street and all that. Lots of financial type reports currently, as it is the beginning of October and the financials go first generally. The U.S. government shutdown continues. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Thune says that the Senate is expected to vote next week on a bill to pay federal workers who have been forced to work without pay, including military. Remember that Besant said that the military will be paid on October 15th. They didn't pay them, and these folks are still waiting. U.S. President Trump says he's meeting with China's President Xi in 2 weeks. Such high tariffs on Chinese goods not sustainable. Asked if high China tariffs will stand, he says no. Anyway, I'll let you read the rest of this. I don't have that much time today to get through this. U.S. regional stocks, bank stocks fall sharply as Zions Bank reported a $50 million charge-off from two bad loans, and Western Alliance cited a fraudulent borrower amplifying concerns over credit markets. So the calendar is quite light today. Fed's Musalem. Looking at the S&P is in a, let me verify, the S&P is in a multi-distribution profile this morning. Really has trended down and now has pushed the overnight high. We're back inside of yesterday's range. We dropped quite a bit in the overnight session. You can see the volume in the S&P is 465,000. That's really, really high. The high of normal volume is 230,000, as it states down below. So we've got quite a bit of volume, quite a bit of range, as you can see in the blue section of the R-vol RN. So we know that the inventory is 97% short, but we're trading back at the open, so caution there. Even though the inventory is 97% short, we're back at prior settle. The range is 100 points, just like we had a few days ago. So expecting a fair bit of movement, pretty outstanding range, and just be aware that this is increasing volatility, which means that we may have to adjust our size and the quantity we trade and the stop size. Looking at the markets themselves, overall, this is what we've got. We've got a market that has dropped below yesterday in the S&P as well as the NASDAQ. We did break lower. Crude finished quite weak yesterday. We pushed through to the downside. We see the same in the Russell. Let's focus on the S&P for now. Here's the S&P market profile chart. And overall, pretty weak structures above. I mean, it's you know, we still haven't hit that tail from last Friday. Remember, Trump had announced a 100% tariff on last Friday. He announced that there's going to have to be action against China, causing the market to drop, and then later said that there will be a 100% tariff imposed, and that caused us to push into the 65.40. Today, the low is 65.71. We're kind of falling out of a balance band from one balance band to the next. So we have one up high, we have one in the middle, which we're in the middle of right here, and then we poked into and came back out of the one that's lower. So the question is this morning is whether or not we continue to explore yesterday's range to the upside, or we fall back out and stay below the 66.50 area. So this area right here is important right now. Not because of the singles, but that's because that's in between the 66.50 from low of 2 days ago and the low of yesterday into 66.32. So the question is, does it hold this area or does it fall below? And that's going to dictate how we approach the market. Expect trading to be choppy. Expect it to be tough. This is the type of day that's very, very likely to invoke emotional responses. And you just need to be very, very aware of what emotions you're having as a trader, because you're human. You cannot shut off your emotions. Emotions are fine in trading. They're normal. Acting on emotions is not. So you need to be aware enough, disciplined enough, relaxed enough to not have to respond to whatever the market throws at you. So that's how things are playing today. So here we are back at our intraday chart. You can see we're kind of traversing these bands that I have on here on this chart. You know, these are reflected in our stock zones. And you could see that we are back to basically prior settlement. We're opening in range right against the prior settlement. So I guess the prior settle stats off the table this morning. Pretty good structure down below in that we found balance down here held and then rotated back up into the balance structure from yesterday afternoon. You could see these areas overlapping bars and so on. So this area down here becomes an area that I'm going to watch if we get down there. And we're opening in the noise. So coming into today, you know that there was a two-way fight into the close yesterday in this exact area. This area exhibited signs of acceptance. The point of control is a little bit higher up. The point of control is right up here from yesterday, right in the prior settle. But overall, this entire range right here is very, very likely to be choppy and contested. This looks cheap to those who are looking to the third force, or those who are sitting in the sideline wanting to deploy new money or redeploy money. And this may look weak to those who are looking below at the poke into the overnight low and are expecting this thing to continue lower, because we are establishing one-time framing down yet again. So this is likely to be a pretty choppy morning. Just be aware of that. Look at it. We are still in Friday's. This here is part of Friday's battle, and you could see that Friday kind of rested in this area, and then yesterday rested in this area, and now we're opening in this area, expecting chop as the primary play here. I could draw squiggly lines on here and give you the scenarios, but I did not come prepared for what we saw in the overnight session. So it's all hands off this morning for at least the first bracket. Those of you who are in the live trading lab this morning under the accelerator program for Convergent, just be aware that the first half hour we're going to sit out and just let things set up. The better trades I've noticed are occurring after the European close. The market gets more directional, and it's just cleaner trading after 10:30 Central, 11 Central. This is supposed to be the kind of poor part of the day to trade, but I'm going to tell you, for the last week or two, the open has been very, very whipsawy, and the trades, in my opinion, have been cleaner and clearer. At least the setups that I'm tracking are more obvious and more tradable later in the session. Okay, so that's that. Crude oil. Crude is just not able to find any traction. Crude is just slip and sliding down this icy slope, and it's just not able to find any support, really. There's a lot going on geopolitically, but this morning, we see it at the lower end of yesterday's range. Yesterday's break lower was very decisive, and then we did break down overnight, came back, and then what has happened is we've opened at 8 o'clock Central, and we have the open near the high. Basically, we opened with nobody wanting to cover shorts or to buy. And so this thing is very, very likely to continue to advertise lower. We have a relatively decent low from yesterday, but we finished at the low end of the range. The thing to note is that the day before yesterday, the point of control is up here. The day not before yesterday, but Tuesday, the point of control is up here. Wednesday, the point of control is in line. Remember, we talked about this. This is very interesting in that it is starting to accept these prices down here. You could see there's good volume in crude right there. And then yesterday, point of control is up here. The volume point of control is down here. A little bit of discord, a little bit of discord between those two. And so I'm expecting crude to punch back through and come back into this 57.90-ish area. It did not do so overnight. It is unable. The best it could do overnight is 57.29, which is kind of surprising. But crude might poke down. So I know this is kind of a contrarian type of view, but crude might poke down and we may find crude right back into this volume, high volume node at 57.90. That's what I'm looking for today. So any setup that brings us back through the open. So what could that look like? It looks like a push down, a structured pullback, and then the market starts to push up. We're looking for now a long through the open, and the target becomes 57.90 from the 56, 56.90, 57 even range. That would be a key retest here. And that's really what I'm looking for crude, if it gets any traction. If it does not, because it's relatively cheap crude right now, given the way it has traded over the last few weeks. It has lost a lot of value, and I'm expecting it to bounce back. I'll leave you with that. I know that's a lot to digest. Sorry about starting late today. There will be a TraderBite on Monday morning. Thank you all for sharing where you're at. And of course, if you see someone nearby, reach out. Try to reach out in chat. Say, hey, you can reach me on Instagram or whatever you use. And keep it, don't share any personal information. And maybe you can connect with other traders in the area. You'll trade better with others around you than alone. That's the whole point of convergent trading, is to bring people out of isolation and make sure that you are connecting with other traders. This is the biggest thing that a true prop firm does for traders, is to connect traders to each other. Performing together is much, much better than performing alone. Good luck, and I will catch you on Monday. Don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Cheers.